This video will be about a dog in a self-defense situation. First of all, I want to give a reality check. If someone really wants to hurt you, a dog won't stop them. So this day and age it's very hard to defend yourself against someone who really wants to hurt you with a dog. That being said, there are still some cases to be made, especially for a big type of dog that also has man-stopping ability. But I will also give you some insight what even a small dog can offer you in your safety. So first of all, if you really want a dog that can defend you against the worst situations, you should look for a big, capable dog that is also able to really have the character to go the long mile, the long haul, so to say. So this means a dog that has man-stopping ability, so big enough to stop a full-grown man, and that can be very heavy. A dog of 80 kilograms, of course, has a lot more man-stopping ability than a smaller dog, because that mass can be put into energy that is put against you, and also will be very hard to wrestle off. But even a dog of 40 kilograms, a smaller male would be in big trouble, and even a bigger male would have some trouble at his hands. So that should be your primary focus, but also a dog that has the attitude to go with it. If you have a very big dog that doesn't have the attitude, the courage, can be very easy scared off, or when it is on the receiving end of the infliction of pain. For example, the perpetrator wants to inflict upon you and also inflicts upon the dog, and it quits. Yeah, you just have a big sack of meat there. But still, that big dog could serve a little role, because it could be a deterioration too. So it would make it harder for people to select you as their victim, because they got deterred by this big, strong type of dog. So that being said, a dog of a Molosser type would be very well suited, because Molossers have quite a good deterring characteristic, because their size, but also their looks and also their character. They are really defenders, but you should get one from walking stock, preferably, or at least one that is capable of defending you and also is willing to. So you could have a very capable, strong dog, but without the will, you're not going anywhere. So Molosses could be a good starting point, but I prefer the Bull and Terriers as an infusion to Molosses. So in that case, you are looking at dogs that carry both the size of a Molosser, or part of the size, but also the courage and fighting ability of a Bull and Terrier blood. And I would seriously look into a dog that has a little bit of both. It could be a pedigree dog, for example a Boer Bull, Fila Brasileiro, or more Molosses, but are very capable, or a dog like the Presa Canario, who carries a lot more Bull and Terrier blood in it as well, but even the Boer Bull carries some. So that could be a very good starting point. So that could be a good way to approach it. Another way could be to look into serious band dog programs. So these programs are a little bit like a Presa Canario type. They're carrying both Bull and Terrier blood, but also Molosser blood, but are currently still being in development for protection purposes. So some people will tell you they have band dogs, but they just breed Bull and Terriers to Molosses, and sometimes you could have a very good hit, but also a lot of time of misses. Whereas if you're breeding for quality, you will get a lot of better dogs, because those dogs are bred to perform at the task that you want them to perform at. And they are good breeders of these type of band dogs, both in the eastern European countries, more of Russia. I've seen good breeding programs, but especially in the United States. And I would like to point out that the American Sentinel Canine is a really good choice to start with. And these programs carry an exceptional amount of Bull and Terrier blood. It's their main attribute. They only brought in a little bit of Molosser for additional size and perhaps some guarding characteristics. A nice horse, but they are predominantly just Bull and Terriers. That's lief, hè? But it could also very well be that you are looking at a different approach. Also, Midget Mastiffs brings you a very interesting performance bred band dog. It's really close on the Great Dane. And there are other very big breeds that you could look at. For example, the Bulikuta is also a Great Dane derivative, but performance bred all the time, so very good at it. And also very massive. Great deterrent of those with ill intent. You could also be looking at something a lot more undercover, so to say, that you have still a lot of the properties there, but for example a little bit more fluffy type of dog. Me personally, I like the smooth coated dogs a lot, because it's ease of use, also ease of cleaning, and I like to see the musculature as well, but you could also hide it a little bit, and then you could be looking at different type of breeds. Also, an American Bulldog could be a formidable protection dog, but still short haired. But you could also go to breeds that have longer hairs, for example dogs that are known as Kangal, but still for most people quite intimidating. Alibi, also a little bit longer hair, or Sharta, which is a giant and might be fluffy, but for most would be not something that you can slide under the radar. But there are other breeds that are, and I will disclose a few that might be interesting to check out. The first I want to tell you about is the Hoverwart. Hoverwart is a German breed. It's essentially a lot of the characteristics of the German Shepherd, but without the sloping backside, so a lot healthier in the hip dysplasia department. And it's specifically developed to guard things like this, farmlands, and the terrain around it. They call that in Dutch a hof. So in Dutch it would be a hofwacht. So it's just like a sentinel defending the home area. And it looks, you have them in different colors, now even in golden colors. And you could mistake many people with a dog that looks like an athletic and bigger golden retriever that has a lot of protective qualities as well. Take this off. So that's one. Another one that I want to mention is, for example, the Great Pyrenees, Pyrenean mountain dog. This dog looks also a little bit like a golden retriever, but then a lot bigger and more white. But also, still lines that are quite capable and also in defending. So if you want something undercover, and there are other dogs that have similar attributes. For example, the Kuvas, which is like a Hungarian breed and looks a lot like a Pyrenean mountain dog, but a little bit more athletic and less coat. And there are other dogs that could be completely out of the pocket, that's what you normally would think of. For example, Commodore, a very big dog who looks like a giant mop, but is quite capable as well. So that gives you some insight for the less obvious choices. But I was also promising that if you had a dog that's very small, for example this small type of dog, what it still can bring you in safety and security. Well, for starters, you have Watchdog application, so the dog, even a small dog, can be very helpful in showing you that something is amiss. So that's a very good thing, because if you are alert, then you have a big advantage as compared to not being alert. It still doesn't offer you all the protection, of course, but even a small dog of good lineage will try to protect you. And protection, we talk about protection especially from other humans, but even a small dog that gets a grab and will try to hold will make it harder for a perpetrator, someone that with ill intent, to do the things that he wants to do. First of all, you are alerted, and if he attacks you and the other dog that you have, the dog that you have, tries to help you, you will have a better chance. Also, if it's one perpetrator, his forces are divided between fighting you and dealing with the dog. So that can be very helpful, even a small dog. The other thing is that sometimes people say, yeah, you need protection only against humans, but it could very well be, especially if you're living in a country where, for example, coyotes are active and they can snatch up your child, or dingoes, that even a dog that sacrifices itself, the small size of this Patterdale Terrier, could save your child. That's also a very important factor. I find that most people are overlooking, and I do not agree with that. Also rattlesnakes, for example. Patterdales are kept to deal with rattlesnakes as well. And of course the venom can kill them, but they rather have a death of a dog than a death of a child. So I think also that self-defense should be thought of as broader. And if you have a dog that's capable, even against a feral dog, also some countries really have feral dog problems. There are dingoes, jackals, wolves in some countries, and then it could be beneficial that you have a dog that sacrifices itself, so that you might have a bigger chance of surviving. It's not that you should not help your dog, because I would do everything that I could, but it's a good thing to understand that also the sacrifice can mean of one animal can be the survival of a human. Have a great day.